All right. Hello again, adventures, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2025, number 136. And today, the world of Dungeons and Dragons is changing. Recently came to kind of a strange realization. I was prepping for an adventure I'm running, one of my Wednesday night campaigns, and part of it, one of my groups, if you're from one of my groups, you'll figure this out eventually. They're going into a vault, effectively, where super magic cool stuff is supposed to be. And I thought, you know what? Since they're opening this vault, and I felt kind of stupid that it took me this long to come to this decision, because we've been dealing with this particular incident for like a month and a half, because we only play every other week and we had to cancel a couple of times. So it took me a month and a half to realize, you know what, they're opening a magic vault. Maybe there should be magic items in it. Like, because something I do for all of my campaigns is once the players have been playing long enough that I know their characters pretty well and the story has kind of created its own plot, I guess you could say, because I know their backstories enough and they've done enough things in this story that everybody kind of knows where things are going. I make custom magic items for each character. Some examples are, like in my first campaign, I created a claw for our Death Domain cleric, who eventually turned, I can't remember what he turned into. I think it was Undying or something. He went from Death Domain to something very similar to Death Domain, but it wasn't an evil cleric. And so he wanted to have a more powerful weapon. So I made him this claw that also gave him the ability to do like a Power Rangers final killing blow thing where all the Power Rangers come together and they go, yeah, and then a big old thing comes and it blows up the monster. Yeah, that was what it is. And then in that same campaign, I created a totem for our druid, based on the things that they used to use in 4th edition as a focus for their magic, that just gave them access to more wild shape forms. Like, wild shape only worked for beast. I think I gave them a unicorn and a dragon form. Wasn't like an adult dragon. I think it's like a wormling or something like that, or a wyvern. Something that wasn't going to completely break the game, but it was something they couldn't do without. Because the druid character used their wild shape constantly. They were Circle of the Moon druid. That was kind of their thing. I can't remember why I made a claw for the cleric, but they wanted it, so. So fast forward to this campaign, I'm working with the players. Because that's another thing that I do is I'll sit down with a player, and by sit down I mean I'll shoot them a message in Discord. I'll sit down with them and go, hey, I'm thinking about making your character item. What kind of things would you like to be able to do that you can't right now, or what aspect of your character would you like exemplified? And for me, it's a fun thing to do. Like I've created some pretty interesting ones. Like I made a dragon dagger. It's a dagger flute that allows a bard to burn bardic inspiration to do kind of like group buffs and cool stuff like that. Like one of them, because the character, just everything that they do involves fire. So I gave them the ability to basically turn the damage of any spell or any attack into fire damage. Because why wouldn't? So anyway, I'm making these items, and originally I was thinking, oh, that's what they could find in this vault, because these magic items are going to be a step above everything else. But then I got to realize, like, I really haven't given this particular party almost any magic items at all. It's just not something that's come up because they've been doing all these other things, and they just really haven't had an instance where they could get magic items. And so I went, oh, ooh. Well, I'll come up with like one magic item for each of them, in addition to their character items. And so I just go into my D&D Beyond app because I was in bed because I was massively sick and couldn't get out of bed. So I go to my D&D Beyond app and I go to the magic item section, and I would just narrow it down by like a weapon type or an item to type, just because I knew what each character could use. And as I'm going through it, I'm noticing, because in the D&D Beyond app, it'll give you a little picture of the item, whatever the icon for the item is. It'll give the name of the item, and then right below it, it gives the book that it comes from. And go back like, what, 2-3 years ago? I owned every single book on D&D Beyond, because I own, aside from, I think, 1 or 2 adventures, because near the end of 5.0, I had that issue where I ordered something for early access and then didn't get the early access because in the US I couldn't actually order the correct bundle that gave me early access. It was an issue with the system because the US was using a different store than the rest of the world. They've fixed it now, but so it really turned me off to D&D Beyond because I used to get the physical digital bundle of every single book, and I think aside from like 2 or 3 books from 5.0 fifth edition, I have both a physical copy and a digital copy on D&D Beyond. I think I still need just a couple, but anyway. So it used to be like I could just go because I got every single D&D book. Well, when they started allowing third-party publishers, at first I thought, oh, I'll try and keep up with this. And then there was this deluge of third-party publishers, and there was just no possible way I would ever be able to keep up with that many books. And it got me to thinking, especially now when you look at specifically D&D Beyond, probably on the kind of homepage of the shop for D&D Beyond, you're probably looking at like maybe a third to half the books that they advertise there are third-party books. And it made me realize there is a very, very good chance that the 5.5 stuff that Wizards of the Coast is publishing really doesn't matter for the longevity of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So, a little bit of history, because I like to go into history. Go back, 3rd edition. They produced 3rd edition, and then they put out the original open gaming license. And that kind of changed the world of tabletop RPGs, because now you could use the most popular tabletop RPG in the world. You could use its framework to create your own stuff. And it inadvertently created Pathfinder, which is just D&D, with a hat on it. But it created so many other things, and it inspired other companies to start creating their own versions of open game licenses and other stuff like that, so that third-party manufacturers not only could make stuff, because people have been homebrewing stuff since, Dungeons and Dragons is a homebrew, but now they could legally create supplements and make money off it, and that was a really, really big deal. 4th edition happened, and there's an OGL type thing. There's an SRD for 4th edition. I own it. It's like a page and a half, and it sucks. Nobody used the fourth edition version of the OGL because it was so insanely limited, and it was massively confusing. But during the entire period that fourth edition was being published, people were still making third edition content because of the OGL. And again, we started seeing this flourishing of community created content for tabletop RPGs in general. You had your Lasers and Feelings hacks, you had your Powered by the Apocalypse, all that stuff is happening. Fast forward to, I think it was like 2015, 2016, somewhere around there, the launch of the DMs Guild. If anyone is unfamiliar with the DMs Guild is a partnership between Wizards of the Coast and a company called DriveThru RPG. DriveThru RPG has been around for forever. I'll even look it up so I can tell you exactly how long it is. DriveThru RPG. I want to see wiki. Let's see. Okay. So I think, it first started in 2001 is RPG Now, and then changed into DriveThru RPG in 2004, and it merged with another company, RPG Now, and DriveThru RPG merged into a company called One Bookshelf. So it's existed for a long time. It's basically a place to get PDFs of tabletop RPGs. It is the number one digital marketplace for tabletop RPGs. And when I say number one, I don't mean, oh, it's popular. I mean, there really isn't a competition for second place here. Like, if you've ever heard the phrase, oh, they're competing for second place, that's kind of what happens in the tabletop RPG market in general. No one is going to overthrow Dungeons and Dragons. So everybody else in the market is competing for second place because first place is so far away from anything any company is able to do that it's not even worth pretending that you're competing for that. DriveThru RPG is effectively that for digital stuff. So in like 2015, 2016, sometime around there, Wizards of the Coast announced a partnership with DriveThru RPG to create this website called the DMs Guild. And the DMs Guild allows you to publish PDFs of D&D products. It's basically a homebrewer's paradise. And the unique thing about the DMs Guild is anything sold on the DMs Guild, the person that created it gets 50% of whatever people pay, and then DriveThru RPG or One Bookshelf, and Wizards of the Coast splits the other 50%. And I can see a lot of people going, well, if you publish your own stuff, you can get 100%. Yeah, but you don't have the infrastructure of DriveThru RPG, and you don't have the reach of DriveThru RPG. And the other beneficial thing about the DMs Guild is the DMs Guild, if you publish through the DMs Guild, you actually are allowed to create official products that are made for D&D campaign settings. Like you can publish your own Ravenloft material or your own Forgotten Realms material, which you legally are not allowed to do because those are intellectual properties that are actually owned by Wizard of the Coast. The reason I'm mentioning it, the DMs Guild massively changed how people interacted with Dungeons and Dragons. And if you go to it now, it is amazing. There is so much stuff there. Some of it is really, really good. I, for one, am a platinum best-selling author on there. But the main reason why is a month after the DMs Guild launched, I launched my first product. And so there wasn't a whole lot of competition, and it was actually a really high-quality product. Like, I did make a good class. So, Yeah. Um, it massively changed how independent and homebrew things could be monetized and could be marketed. That's the other thing that's really useful about the DMs Guild was I didn't have to do a ton of marketing for my product. Now you kind of do because the marketplace has been flooded with stuff. But I didn't have to do a ton of marketing for mine. And there are style guides and there are things that you can download to make it look like official Dungeons and Dragons products. Like it really changed the game as far as homebrewing is concerned. To the point where now, if you just were to put a PDF up on the DMs Guild without like cover art and good formatting and all these other things, you probably wouldn't sell almost any copies, even if it was a really great product, because the quality is there. If you want to compete in that marketplace, you have to have a quality looking product in addition to it being a quality product to use. Um, so, yeah, the DMs Guild really changed how people could kind of monetize D&D, and how people could access it. Because again, the OGL was great, but you still had to find a way to physically buy all these third-party products. They still had to market it themselves, and they still had to find a way to get it to you and things like that. And yeah, Drive-Thru RPG existed back then, but it wasn't that big compared to how it is now. And digital copies of tabletop RPGs just really weren't uh, the the default way that you got tabletop RPGs. It was all done through physical books and stuff like that. So now, when the DMs Guild launched, it was this really big thing, and you could get you can get your product in front of a lot of people's eyes. You could use they even there was even artwork and stuff that you could download for free, and it was copywritten artwork, but you were given a limited license that if you were publishing things on the DMs Guild, you could use this artwork. The artwork for my Blood Knight class is actually one of the pieces of artwork that Wizards of the Coast just allows people to use. And I believe it's from a 4th edition book too. But they own it, so they're allowed to do that. So getting back to this whole D&D Beyond thing, I doubt we are ever going to get numbers for how many things are sold on D&D Beyond versus how many books are sold through traditional retailers and stuff like that. I just don't think that's going to ever be a thing that they give us, because that's proprietary information. It's extremely valuable information, and by them keeping it to themselves, it's just very useful for them. So we don't know the percentage of people that are buying things on D&D Beyond versus buying things everywhere else. However, we can safely assume that it's a decent amount. A lot of people use D&D Beyond. My theory is it's probably the number one place where people get D&D stuff now. Not because it's doing this massive amount, but because everywhere else you can get D&D products, there's just a lot of different places you can get them now, and so that will kind of chop up the pool, so to say. Roll20 actually used to put out numbers for what games were being played on their platform and what systems were being played. And the year that Pathfinder 2nd Edition came out, and like a couple years after, Pathfinder in and of itself dropped from like the second or third most played to all the way down to, I think it actually dropped off the top 10, or is at the very low part of the top 10 of games. And it wasn't because people weren't playing Pathfinder anymore, but what happened is you had some people playing Pathfinder 1st Edition and some people playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and so it literally chopped them in half as far as numbers because they listed those as two different games because they are two different games. In the same way that they listed 5th edition, 4th edition, 3rd edition, all of that were also two different games. So I would assume the same thing happens with sales, whether you're talking about friendly local game stores, big things like Barnes and Noble or Walmart and stuff like that. I would say because D&D Beyond is just one thing that doesn't split into a bunch of other things, it's probably, if it's not their number one spot where people buy books, it's got to be in the like top 3 or top 5. So it's a really, really big deal. And as far as the ability to buy things from a purely kind of retail marketing standpoint, it is really, really good. Like it makes it very simple to buy things and access things, and the character creator and builder and encounter builder and magic item lookup, like it's a really, really simple, easily to use system. So because of that, third party manufacturers and publishers have been making D&D 5th edition content since the SRD came out. So it's not like there hasn't been third party content, and the DMs Guild was a really, really good example of that, because the DMs Guild exploded once third party creators started getting in there, in addition to all the homebrew stuff. And then D&D or the DMs Guild partnered with Roll20, to where you could sell Roll20 versions of your stuff on D&D or the DMs Guild, and have it go to Roll20. I think they also did it for Foundry as well. You could basically sell VTT versions of your stuff on the DMs Guild, and so that started becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger thing. Now with D&D Beyond opening itself up not just to third parties, but to third parties that are putting a lot of stuff on there, the more D&D Beyond expands their ability for people to sell on D&D Beyond. And I'm starting to think eventually they're going to open up the ability, like the DMs Guild, to publish stuff on D&D Beyond. I think the more popular it gets, the more likely it feels like we're eventually going to have that ability, which I think would be really cool. But to me, what it means, like D&D Beyond, the most popular website for Dungeons and Dragons. Like it really is. And now you have all of these third-party publications that are coming out, that a lot of them are really good. Like I am currently using a third-party adventure in one of my campaigns because it was such a cool idea and I wanted to use it, and it fit with the campaign. Like a lot of the stuff that's coming out is, to be blunt, is a higher quality than the stuff that's coming out of Wizard of the Coast. Like again, 5.5 had a very lukewarm reception because it's a lukewarm product. The DM's Guide is probably the only book that I think was fully cooked, where most of the stuff in there feels good, feels complete. Everything else was just rushed out too fast, not play tested enough, and some of the ideas were just bad ideas. But the third party stuff that's coming out is really incredible and just amazing stuff from really good third party publishers. MCDM, Free League has been doing stuff on there. Like, I mean, the publishers have been doing this for long enough that they put out good quality products, and can't just rely on the fact that we're Wizards of the Coast, so you'll buy our shit. So I'm starting to think that it really doesn't matter what Wizard of the Coast does to D&D 5th edition anymore, because I think the third-party publishers will be able to keep D&D 5th edition going longer than Wizard of the Coast can. Again, I was not pleased with the Player's Handbook. I was not pleased with the Monster Manual. I'm kind of looking forward to the Dragon Book, but again, the last few adventures that they've published, I've not been particularly thrilled with because the writing was really poor. So I like dragons. I like Dungeons and Dragons. I like putting dragons into dungeons. I think that's a cool idea. It's a little bit upsetting that it took Dungeons and Dragons 50 years to figure out maybe we should put some dragons in dungeons. So I'm into it. I think it's cool. The Forgotten Realms players guides and stuff like that. I will probably at least pick up the digital versions of those because I like that stuff. But I'm not really holding my breath. However, the just sheer volume of really quality 5th edition third-party content has been blowing me away. Like they have a kind of Studio Ghibli inspired campaign setting that came out. The Monster Hunter book is wonderful, and it's not actually Monster Hunter, but it's effectively D&D Monster Hunter. They just can't call it Monster Hunter because Capcom owns that. But it's phenomenal. The Illrigger was a really cool class from MCDM. And MCDM is making their own RPG right now. And they're still publishing stuff to D&D Beyond. And the thing about all of these books are, some of them are books that were published previously that they're now finally getting the ability to put on D&D Beyond. And a lot of them started their writing process and everything before 5.5 is a thing. So I think almost every single product, third-party product that's come out thus far has been for 5.0 version of D&D. And it's not that you can't update it to 5.5 relatively easily. It's just none of the stuff was designed for that. And I think that's what's going to kind of decide what happens to D&D 5th edition and how much longer it lasts. If it was just Wizards of the Coast, I still stand by my my claim before about Wizards of the Coast, where this is the swan song of 5th edition. 5.5 is the swan song of 5th edition from Wizards of the Coast. They have wrung as much as they can out of it, and 5.5 was just poorly implemented. And so if it was just Wizards of the Coast, yeah, I say we've got a couple more years. However, with all the third-party content that's coming out that's really, really good, I think Wizard of the Coast could completely shit the bed. And as long as they're allowing third-party content on D&D Beyond, no one will notice. Because they will have a ton of really, really good 5th edition stuff coming out. And I also think that means that there's a good chance that 5.5 is going to be forgotten. 100%. Compared to like 3.5, I don't think I have met a single person that was either playing 3rd edition when it was popular or plays 3rd edition now or anything, anyone associated with 3rd edition. I don't think I know a single person that goes, no, I'm a 3.0 guy all the way. I never upgraded to 3.5. 3.5 was a natural upgrade for 3rd edition. Everything, or almost everything about 3.5 was just better than 3.0. So 5.5, on the other hand, I have met exactly one person who has just upgraded entirely to the 5th edition rules. Or one group that is upgraded entirely to the 5.5 rules. Everybody else just kind of picks the little pieces out that are actually good, like the buffs to healing spells and things like that, and then throws everything else away because it's not worth it. So I genuinely believe that 5.5, unless there is a massive revision, so we get like a 5.75, I think 5.5 is going to be forgotten. And I think it's going to be forgotten specifically because third-party publishers are going to be making 5.0 compatible stuff. Like, I don't think... And again, for adventures, you don't really have to update things to 5.5. If you're making your own monsters and stuff like that, like, there's no rules for making monsters in 5.5. So it's not like you would have to change any of your monsters to adapt to the new 5.5 rules. There aren't any. They just made new monsters. So adventures and the things like that, and magic items as well, aside from putting in support for weapon masteries, which again is next to nothing. I think most like I've had a couple magic items that I found from third party publishers that had uh, weapon masteries built into them that obviously were not designed to work with weapon masteries, and they just kind of tacked them on because it doesn't really change anything. So yeah, I firmly believe that third party content is going to be what decides how long 5th edition remains the most current edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And props to Hasbro and Wizard of the Coast. It was a smart idea to let other people design for your flagship product, and I would assume that D&D Beyond gets some percentage of whatever sold on the platform back to Wizard of the Coast and Hasbro, because that's just how it works. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that that's an evil thing. But I mean, they can literally just sit back and maybe even just allow people that are new, because obviously they have a lot of new talent at Wizard of the Coast. And it's been obvious because a lot of the bad stuff that's been coming out, it's just blatantly obvious. Oh, you just don't understand how to write yet. You are too green and you have too little experience to be able to write at this level. You just don't have the experience. Once you have the experience, you'll probably be a relatively decent writer or designer or things like that. Like, that's what 5.5 was. So quite literally, Wizards of the Coast can use the next 5 to 10 years to just give these new voices in the field that don't have the experience necessary to be able to write for the most popular tabletop RPG in the world, give them the chance to just do weird shit and fail over and over again. I say this constantly. Failure is the best teacher you will ever have. And so they can try new things and they can do weird things. They haven't yet. I mean, when you look at the Unearthed Arcana stuff, everything that they're putting out is extremely tame and boring. But if the third-party stuff keeps coming in and keeps creating this stuff and they keep expanding the program for more and more third parties, they really don't have to do anything, and they can spend their time giving people experience that they need to become actually good game designers. Because you can read as many books as you want, you can play as many RPGs as you want. If you have never designed something, you simply will not be able to be a fantastic designer. You have to actually do it. You need some experience. So we will see what happens. Again, there's still a possibility that Wizards of the Coast will get their head out of their ass and actually start putting out good shit. But were I them, I would start really pushing third-party content, allow all these third-party manufacturers to make bank off of D&D 5th edition, because it means that they're still making money. And then all these people that really are not good at their jobs right now, let them experiment. Let them try new things. Let them try weird things. Let them try things that are destined to fail, because giving them the chance to fail will help them to grow as game designers, as long as they don't fall into the trap of, oh, everybody that doesn't like my stuff is just ist. Pick an ism, and that's what they are. It's isms. It's not because I don't know what I'm doing. Get your heads out of your asses. Understand that you guys keep screwing up and learn from your mistakes. And the 6th edition of Dungeons and Dragons will be phenomenal. It will blow 5th edition out of the water if they just take this time to go, hey, we basically have perpetual money right now. Let's screw up. Let's try weird shit and just get and let people that have no business leading projects and things like that, let them do it and let them fail and let them screw up and waste money on them, because it's an investment now into the future of the company. Now, whether or not this happens, I got no idea. If I had to take a guess, I don't think Hasbro would allow them to waste that much money or allow the brand itself to be besmirched by poor quality products, or really weird off the wall products. But they have tried little things. The Radiant Citadel was a different kind of product. It wasn't a good product, but it was something that we're trying something outside of the box. I think it was a bad idea because the out of the box was, well, we are going to only let people of a certain skin color make stuff, and the only thing that matters is what they look like, not whether or not they are good at what they do, because that was popular at the time. But all those people that basically got affirmative actioned into creating a product got a lot of valuable experience. Quite a few of them wasted that valuable experience by reacting to all negative criticism as well, you're all just racist. You're just racist, and nothing I do is wrong. But they got experience, and that's a really, really good thing. And I would love to see more of that. I want to see new campaign settings that don't make sense. I want to see new classes that don't really work because they tried to do something weird and inventive. I would love to see Wizards fail because they try things new instead of the failures they have been doing because they tried to be too safe. Step outside the box, do some weird shit, and let your third-party publishers carry this product into the next edition, because there's enough really good third-party publishers that you could do that. And I will go as far enough to say that the likelihood of this ever happening again, a situation where Wizards of the Coast could just sit back and let third-party publishers carry their flagship product, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. It's weird that it's happening now, but I think it's theoretically possible, and it could be a huge, huge benefit, not just to Dungeons & Dragons, but to tabletop RPGs as a whole. Because, again, my first homebrew thing was for Dungeons & Dragons. And then I started homebrewing for... in 4th edition was my first homebrew. And then I started creating products for 5th edition, and I got some of the best advice I'd ever gotten. One of my buddies was actually a playtester. I think he might still be a playtester for Wizards of the Coast, as in not like public playtest, as in he gets specific stuff directly from Wizards of the Coast to actually do playtesting before everyone else gets to see it. And he gave me this advice when I was building the Dragon Knight, my first custom class. He basically said, the design philosophy behind 5th edition is within the first... every class needs to be unique. It needs to play and feel different right from level 1, and it should have anything that defines the class needs to show up within the first 2 levels. So when you're designing your thing, you have to make whatever makes your class unique has to show up either level 1 or level 2. And that is true about every single 5th edition class. And it's true about my Dragon Knight class. It's true about my Blood Knight class. And I've used it in my Essential Essence 20 stuff when I'm reviewing that. I look for defining features and things like that. And it was the best advice I've ever gotten. And now I do things like I create entire custom campaign settings, and I create custom stuff for Zelda Universe and all that stuff. All that started because I tried something, I failed a few times until I got it right. So, interested to hear from you guys. First of all, what do you think about the just deluge of third-party content coming to D&D Beyond? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it annoying to you? Let me know in the comments down below. And what do you guys think about the idea of D&D 5th edition is going to be third-party run, at least for a little while? Do you think it's a bonkers idea? Do you think Hasbro would never allow that? They want control? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, it's going to be all for me today. I will see you guys next time, all right? Bye-bye.